can't hear a word you're saying.
Right up here? I'll put it in my pocket.
Yeah, you could stick this in your pocket if you want. Totally your call. This should already be on. Once it's on, it'll be good.
Where's the Irishman?
How you doing today, Senator? Good to see you again. Thank you for coming.
Where'd you dig them up, Sunni?
Let's take your seats. Take your seats.
I come read the Pledge of Allegiance. I leave the stage, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
You behave.
Citizens of Boys State, good morning. We have a special gavel that we're using today. It was donated by Chuck Osterhaus, who has been with Boys State program since 1991. And this year will be his last year with New York State Boys State. Let's give a round of applause. Today's presentation of colors by the County of Pedro. Color Guard, advance the proud colors of this great nation. Hands salute. Post colors. Two. At this time, we call on the County of Fish, City of Morel, citizen number 263, Justin Morales, for scripture reading. Uncover.
Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he does shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. Amen.
This time, County of Spafford, City of Manet, citizen number 655, Davis Bernard, for the Pledge of Allegiance. And I do want to hear the pledge.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Very impressive. Thank you, gentlemen. At this time, Maestro, you can sing along. Again, I thank you all. That song means a lot to all of us here, not just the veterans, but everybody, including yourselves. It's time for our song, Maestro. Our alma mater, look at the board. Hopefully to get it up there, we can say the words. I want to hear that loud. Raise the roof. You know, I understand that some of this has been on Facebook already, and we want to make a good impression to impress everybody back home. I see a group over here doing the wave of the hands. I see a group over here. It would be nice if we have everybody in the same wave. Also, I'd like to see it louder. You were a little weak. I don't know if you're tired. Maestro, I think it's time to try it again. Let's get it louder. That was good, not great. One more time, let's get it up there. All right. All right. Tomorrow is another day, and it's going to go up another octave. Is that understood? Yes, sir. Thank you. New York State Senator Joseph A. Griffo of Rome represents Oneida, Madison, and parts of Shenango, Herkimer counties in New York State Senate, a position he has held since 2007. He currently holds the title of Assistant Minority Leader and is a ranking member of the Senate's Higher Education Committee. He also serves on the Transportation, Rules, and Finance Committees. Griffo previously served as Deputy Minority Leader and as Chairman of the Senate Energy and Telecommunications Committee and many other standing committees. He also previously held the title of Deputy Majority Whip, and is co-chair of the New York State Legislative Sportsmen's Caucus. Griffo served for 11 years as mayor of Rome, starting in 1991. And while county executive, Griffo was elected to New York State Association of Counties Board of Directors and was a member of New York State Law Enforcement Accreditation Council. Griffo is a graduate of both Rome Free Academy and SUNY Brockport, which is my neighborhood, where he earned a magna cum laude distinction while receiving a bachelor's degree in political science. Citizens of Boys State, let's give a big Boys State round of applause to welcome our Senator Joe Griffo. Joe.
Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing today? So let me find out a little bit about all of you. How many of you guys are from, I know you got these counties now, right? And it's an honor for me to be with Colin Schmidt today, former assembly member, former governor of Boise State, participant nationally, Boise State. Hopefully someday you can be president of the U.S. And let's give him a round of applause, come on. Let me start with that, though, first. How fortunate you all are to be selected in this program. That shows that you are some of the best and brightest of many of the schools across this great state. And I'll tell you, you're so fortunate because you're in the presence of some great individuals. I think you're learning that this week. The men and women who have served our great country, many of these veterans not only served our nation, but they also continue to be involved and engaged in our community. And that's the message I hope to impart with you before we leave this morning. Just extraordinary group of individuals, and you get a chance to interact with them each and every day. Take advantage of it, and let's thank them, and let's hear for these guys for their service to country and community. Particularly Chuck. Chuck, thank you. 35 years. Isn't that amazing? Huh? I want to thank Tom for his leadership with his group here. And getting to know some of you now, there's something going on, like you talked about my alma mater. Do you know, anybody know what's happening at my alma mater, at SUNY Brockport, while you're all here? Girls State, right? So I do want to give a little announcement this year, because we've been working hard for in the state legislature, because I believe this is an important program. This year we're able to allocate $100,000 for Girls State and $100,000 for Boys State in the state budget. And we always want to talk about international relations, and I'm very proud and honored to be joined today with a individual who is a former member of the IBEW right here in Syracuse, 43, Local 43, but also the Central New York Labor Council, Pat Costello, who is here along with my staff, Alex and Brian. But more importantly, I have two young ladies with me, and we're going to show them how we really welcome people in the U.S., particularly during the FIFA, the World Cup, right? So I have two young ladies. I have Beth, who is here from Northern Ireland, and Rosa from the Republic of Ireland. Stand up, Beth and Rosa, stand up. Give them a warm American welcome, come on. So, how many of you, let's see where you're from in the state. Do I have Western New York in the house? All right, I was going to say, you guys Bills fans? That was pretty weak, Colin. Did you hear that? How about the Southern Tier? Are you in the house? Can you be louder than that? We got anybody from the Hudson Valley here? That's Colin's area. How about Long Island? Wow. All right. How about New York City? Go, New York, go, right? North Country. Good thing we got the border covered, right? How about Central New York? Well, it's great to see so many individuals from so many different parts of our state. I also want to give a really shout out to Dave and this band. Are they not amazing coming together in 1 week, right, to do what they're doing? So Dave and all the band, thank you very much. So I talked to you a little bit about what took place this year in the allocation, the appropriation to bring some money to continue programs like this. It's never easy. Our state budget right now is about $272 billion. Can you imagine that in New York? That's larger than the state of Texas and Florida. Now, are Texas and Florida a little larger than New York in population? Anybody know where we are in population? Who's the number one state in population in the country? California. Number two? Texas. Number three? Florida. So we better try harder, right? We're number 4, but we're spending that kind of money in New York State. More than these states with more population. So that's where we start here, because I think you need to continually be informed of what's taking place. And do you think anything that we're doing in Albany has an impact on your lives? Yeah, they do, right? How about the length of the school day? Do you think it is good, or should it be longer? Shorter? How about the length of the school year? So those are decisions that are being made that affect your lives in Albany. Are you aware of that? Did you know the state legislature and the Board of Regents does that in New York? Right? Do you know that we're looking at changing the educational formula in New York? You ever heard of the Regents diploma? Yes, sir. It may not be anymore. So you may want to, but we still need to be well educated, right? Because you all want to be successful in life. So anybody know how old you have to be married in New York State? 18. You know what it was? 14 at one time. How about a driver's license in New York? 16. What about Florida? Anybody know what it is in Florida? It's 14. Should it be 16 or 14? What, so you get married at 18, right? What year can you join the military? 18. That means you can serve your country and carry a weapon, correct? Right? So at 18, you can serve your country, you can make a decision to get married, you can drive. What can't you do? Should you be able to get a beer at 18? So the reason that that's done, you know there's not a national drinking age. Every state can determine what their drinking age is. But when President Reagan was president, there was a lot of carnage on the roads. And I think a lot of you are smarter now than people were back then making poor decisions. But there was a decision made in Congress and at the president's level to say that they would withhold transportation funds if every state didn't raise the drinking age. Now, there are many college professors and universities that are now starting to say we should look at that differently again. Because if you can do all these things, which comes to the basic question, should we have a universal age of adulthood? Should there be one age? You can vote at what now? 18. Should it be lower? Do you know? Oh, see, that's interesting. We have a variety of opinions here. I voted against lowering the age further because I'm just not sure. We go to that point about being informed, right? And then when you're informed, you got to stay interested. How many are interested in some of the things I talked about? So if you have that kind of interest, then what's the next thing you need to do? You got to get involved, right? You know, you can make a difference. You know, there's, I mean, this is not an easy thing, and I don't know if Colin was in the state legislature when this happened, but we have state models for everything. Anybody know what the state fruit is? The apple. Anybody know what the official state bird is? Should be the bald eagle, but it isn't. That's the national symbol. Bluebird. It's the bluebird. So just to let you know, though, we had a group of individuals like you one day that felt that we should have an official snack. They were in a school system in Western New York. And we ended up with a 4-hour debate over what it should be. And guess what they recommended these students? That it should be yogurt. Well, wait a minute now. Chobani's big in New York, so we love Chobani, right? So we now have the official snack, which shows that just interest at a school system level of saying we want to see something done that you can bring this forward. What's one of my greatest concerns for individuals your age when we talked about balance there, right, with making important choices and decisions in your life, is distracted driving. Now, how many of you got cell phones? How many of, be honest with me now, how many of you really, while you've been in a vehicle and driving the vehicle, have glanced at your phone? I mean, is there anything more dangerous, do you think? How important are those text messages that it requires you while you're need to be focused? Should we have a law? We do have laws on texting and driving. Should we have a better way to ascertain that? We're looking now at the development of something called a textualizer. Have you ever heard of that? So it's right. So it's going to be very similar to the breathalyzer, where an officer will be able to pull you over, put the device on, and determine whether or not you were really doing something you shouldn't have been doing. Is that a good or bad thing? It's a good thing, because if you're obeying the law, now if you don't agree with that, then you got to let your voices be heard, right? Is there a better way to do the same thing? How about...
Would this law infringe on the right of privacy by tracking whether people are texting at certain times?
Yeah, there's a possibility of privacy, right to privacy. That's some of the issues that we're going to have to face. And who makes that decision ultimately once the legislature passes a law? And the governor signs it into law. Who interprets that, though? What branch of government? The judicial branch, the courts. So the point you're making is that an infringement on private rights, the courts will have to make that determination if the legislature passes it into law and the governor signs it, right? So there's that opportunity to engage that way for a citizen to say, I don't agree. What about artificial intelligence? Good or bad? I think in the future, I believe that artificial intelligence, the benefit will be particularly from a clinical and a medical perspective, I think will be very, very important and very significant. Now, there's other parts of that that are not beneficial right now, right? The way you can manipulate this, the way you could use this to potentially hurt people. So the answer is, how do we deal with it? How do we find that balance, respecting your privacy and your individual choices, your freedom of speech under the First Amendment? How do we balance that with the need to obviously not let it take off on its own, right? So do we need rules and regs, you think, on artificial intelligence? Yes. Do you guys have ideas on how or what we should be doing on that? So again, go back, be informed, stay interested, and then get involved so that your voices can be heard, because even at your age, your voices can have an impact and make a difference. Are you hearing that from me right now? Yes, all right. Does it make sense? Do you really believe it can happen? Yes, it can. It can. And a lot of that is really left to you. So many of these issues, as I'm bringing these up to you, you understand now that you have a voice, and it can be heard, and in the end, it could actually influence what happens in the future. And these are things that are going to be very important as we look at future policy, the policy deliberations that are taking place, the discussions, the debate on many of these issues, whether it's distracted driving, whether it's a universal age of adulthood, whether it's how do we balance now with artificial intelligence, how it is and what it could be. So that's why I want to leave you with this today, that all of you continue to stay informed, right, and interested, and then get involved, because your voices will be heard and they can make a difference. So with that, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Congratulations, because as I said, you should be very honored that you have been selected and that you are a part of this program. And I hope what you take from all the speakers, from all the interaction, is something that will have an impact as you are motivated to do whatever you want to do in your future. How many are looking at higher education from here? How many are looking at military service? How many are looking at careers, the trades? Excellent. That's what I love to see, a variety of everything. I'm very confident that you guys are going to do extremely well if you continue to be informed, stay interested, and get involved. Thank you all. Appreciate it. I know we'll take some questions, I believe. Yeah, we'll take some questions. How they do, Colin? All right?
Questions at the microphone. See the counselor there, no more than 6, please.
Hi, my name's Patrick Braley.
Speak
number
into the mic.
0452. Hi, my name's Patrick Braley, number 0452. Did you always know that you wanted to go into politics, like especially as a kid?
Yeah, that's a great question. Probably your age is when the interest got to me, because I also was starting to hear about things that I was concerned about and I had opinions on, and I decided, what should I do? And I talked to my school counselors, and when I pursued my college opportunity, my higher education opportunity, and selected to college. And I was an average student at the time and chose SUNY, and that's another thing we talked about now. We got to look at higher education costs and that affordability aspect that's too high right now. We do have programs in New York State to help you at the public schools. There are scholarships too that you can work on, but the cost of higher education should not be as exorbitant as it is. So then I got interested and studied political science. And it was from that point in time that I decided that I did want to go into government service. And I didn't know where, whether it would be the foreign service or whether it would be in domestic, but I ended up in local government and then state and ran for office. As you heard, I'm the former mayor of Rome, former former county exec. Anybody know? Not all the counties have county execs, so that's kind of like the mayor of the county. And then now in the state senate. And actually, there are things you can do in the legislature. They're all different. That's the executive branch, right? As a mayor and a county exec, you're making decisions to run the government. In the legislature, you're passing laws. How many of you guys watch MMA? We're talking about America 250, right? Do you know it was illegal in New York State? I was the chief sponsor to make it legal in New York State. It took us 7 years to make it legal, but it shows you how it takes long. And the premise there again is, you know, people should have choice. If you don't want to watch it, if you don't want to go to an event, don't. But don't tell somebody else that they can't do it.
Hello, my name is Dominic Dorr. My number is 0083. And in your time as a state senator, is there a particular bill or thing that you've supported or sponsored that you're particularly proud of?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. And I've been there for a long time. So I think some of the most important things we have done is when we're looking at, there's two areas that I look at. Where can we create economic opportunity? Because I would like to see young people like you remain in New York State. I would like people like you to pursue a career in New York State, and in order to do that, we have to have opportunity. So when we look at legislation, no specific one bill, but when we look at things that we're doing to make New York more competitive, and unfortunately we're not doing enough of that right now, I think that is important. And the other is in public safety and trying to keep people safe. So I think it's the economic opportunity and the public safety legislation that we've worked on that I feel that are so important and significant and can truly make a difference in keeping New York competitive and hopefully keeping many of you here.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
What issues are you dedicated to, and can you please elaborate on like how you make bills, like the process on making bills within the legislative?
Sure. The process, the legislative process can be very interesting, but it starts with an idea. It may start from interaction right here. If some of you may think there's something that could or should be done and express that to your local representative. You know in New York that we have a bicameral legislature, right? It's the Senate, and what's the other called? Mr. Schmidt was a member of that. Assembly, the General Assembly. There's 150 Assembly members. There's 63 members of the Senate. I serve 350,000 people, the 4 counties you heard about. The Assembly's about 125,000, smaller districts, same terms of office, same salary, nothing changes, not like the feds where the Senate is 6 years and the members of the House are 2. So the process begins with that type of, how many of you here in Central New York? Like, show me your hands again. Anybody, right here in this county, there was a bad situation about 2 months ago. I don't know if you remember this, where a truck driver who was driving a truck, he went into a school bus. Does anybody remember that? It actually made the national news. So thankfully, there were some injuries, but nobody was seriously hurt. The guy was distracted while he was in the truck. He had children in the truck with him, as well as, obviously, the school bus, the students that were hurt there. So I believe that not only is that illegal, speeding, distracted driving, but I believe that you should have a higher offense if you have children in the car with you. We do that for driving while impaired right now. Somebody was applauding. That's a good thing, right? It's called Leandra's Law, because there was a situation down in New York City where somebody picked up a girl and they were drunk, a young girl, got in a car accident and killed her, right? A parent. So now we have higher, stiffer penalties. So we're doing the same now on that distracted driving. If you're going to be if you're doing something wrong, and particularly in this case, you're distracted, there's already a law, but now there'll be a more elevated, serious consequence for doing that. So that starts with coming in, and then it goes to a committee in the legislature, and the committee will have a conversation. Now, there's different political and ideological views. Obviously, not everybody agrees, so you got to try to get that bill out of committee to the floor. Then it has to pass both houses of the legislature. That's all your basic government now, right? And then if it passes both houses, the Senate and the Assembly, if it passes one house, it goes nowhere. Passes both houses, then it goes to the governor, and the governor can either sign it into law or veto it.
Hi, sir. My name's Andrew Petrosky. I was wondering if you have a stance on flock cameras.
On what?
Flock cameras.
I really don't. I don't have a lot of information, but tell me, what do you think?
I'm against flock cameras.
Okay. And one of the things you're seeing in society today, which is interesting too, is no matter what you do, where you are, you're being pretty much filmed, right? I mean, you're starting to see this now. It's like it's a whole new world that your generation is experiencing, where nobody gets away with anything anymore either. And that's why it's really going to be, you grew up with a lot of this, so you're going to be very important in giving perspective so we can provide the right balance as you're looking at what type of legislation, if any, is ever considered or enacted. Next.
Good morning, sir.
I'll take that into consideration too, and remember that.
So 11 years old is the age of consent in Nigeria, with 12 years old being the age of consent in the Philippines. How can we as a nation influence those countries to raise it to 18 or higher?
For what now?
How can we influence like those countries?
I got that, but for what?
For the age of consent, because the age of consent in Nigeria is 11. And
so I think a lot of that is done through international discussions and cooperations through the UN. Obviously, you have the sovereignty, and you have to respect sovereignty in each and every country. So I think our best opportunity is twofold. Number one, to continue to have conversations in education because there's cultural differences, but beyond that also potentially financial incentives provide many of these nations to look at things differently too. If they're getting U.S. aid, then to say, with that aid, we want you to look at changing some of these laws, but we have to recognize that some of those laws are reflective of their culture too. Thank you. Next.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I would just like to ask, me, myself, looking into politics and wanting to be soon to be mayor of Syracuse, New York one day, I want to know, how do you keep going? Because sometimes I feel I can't network forever. I've already met everybody. I'm doing too much. What keeps you going?
So I appreciate that.
This.
I think you'd be a great mayor too. So they just elected the first female mayor of the city of Syracuse.
Mayor Sharon Owens, sir.
That's right, Mayor Owens, first African American female mayor. So you're breaking all the kind of barriers, right? And that's a good thing.
Let's go.
What keeps you going is you've got to have the energy, you've got to have the true commitment. It's like you start off with an interest, as we talked about. Then you have to have that energy and commitment to want to do it. And there are days when you sit there and say, what am I doing and why? But if you're motivated for the right reasons, if you know you can truly make a difference, if you truly care about your community, what you need to do is continue to be involved in your community. You continue to meet people. And you're not just building a resume, you're building a reputation. And with that will to win, the will to see your community better than it is right now, and true heart too, that you have a compassion and care for all sectors, and even the difference of opinion. I think one of the greatest things that troubles me so much now across our nation, and we've had time periods where we've had conflict. We had a civil war over slavery. But right now, you can disagree without hating one another. And we're losing that right now. We see everybody in a silo, and everybody who there's more animus, and people that just dislike one another and try to overtake one another. And a lot of it is motivated from the media and the attention they get. Social media is kind of an interesting thing now. But I wish we could all come together again and know that we can disagree on ideology, on politics, on policy. but then again, we can all come together for the best interest of our community, our state, or our nation. And that's what my hope for the future and all of you is that we can once again rise to know that we can disagree, but we don't have to do it, you know, in a way that we disparage and dislike one another. So again, thank you all very much. Appreciate the I think I can still hear. Appreciate that you all were listening. Hopefully you'll remember. And I think all of you are going to do great in life. So God bless you all. Take care.
Senator, don't go away. Okay. The American Legion. The American Legion, Boys State, New York, in grateful appreciation for your participation in the American Legion New York Boys State Program, presented to Joseph A. Griffel, the New York State Senator, New York Boys State 2026, signed by the Executive Director, Dave Carrito, and myself. Don't go away. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. Colin Schmidt is a 2007 alumni of the New York State American Legion Boys State. Was one of 2 students selected to represent New York at the American Legion Boys Nation year 2007. He is a former New York State Assemblyman who was elected to serve the Hudson Valley from 2019 to 2022. In the Assembly, Schmidt was a ranking member of the Local Governments Committee and worked closely with the American Legion to secure state funding for Boys State of New York program. He was a 2022 congressional nominee for the 18th Congressional District. Schmidt is now appointed as Director of Finance for the town of Clarkstown in Rockland County. Schmidt served as a sergeant in the served as a sergeant in New York State Army National Guard. He is a graduate of Village Central High School in Montgomery, New York, earned a degree in politics with a minor in theology and religious studies from Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C., and is currently on scholarship for a joint degree in Dr. J.D. and MEM as a student at the Elizabeth Halt School of Law and at Pace University and the Yale School of Environment. Citizens of Boys State, let's give a great big Boys State welcome to Colin Schmidt.
Good morning. Thanks for having me here. How's everybody doing? So far, so good, Boys State Week? I have to start out this speech with a shout out to some very important members of Boys State. If you are a road guard, I want you to stand up. Where are my road guards? Stand up! Stand up! Let's see those orange vests. There we go. There we go. Wear them proudly. Wear them proudly. All right, you can sit back down, but why do I start that way? So I showed up here in 2007. It used to not be that long ago. Now it's been a long time. And I had all these grand plans. I was going to dominate Boise State. I was going to never be forgotten. I was going to run. I was going to get nominated. There's going to be amazing outcomes. Didn't really work out that way. The only role anybody wanted me to do was road guard. I had to wear those orange vests. I was pissed. I showed up thinking I was going to be the big shot over here. I had to wear an orange vest. I was ready to walk out the door. Forget you, American Legion guys. I'm done. Orange vest. Could have been sleeping in. Didn't need this. But I figured, you know what? Might as well keep going. I'm here in Mooresville. To get back to Orange County it's gonna not be really possible. So I was doing the road vest to work. It's like, actually, it's pretty important. We don't need anybody getting run over. We don't need any tractors coming down and putting you part of the hay bale. Then what happened? Somebody got injured. Things happened, and next thing you know, somebody quit their job. You got to get promoted. You're the one keeping everybody safe. Next thing you know, I started getting thrown into all types of positions because I was wearing that orange vest that I thought was the end of my time at Boise State. Needless to say, the orange vest that I did not want to wear, everybody, you're doing good though, I did not want to wear that, led me to go to Boys Nation, to be the first senator selected to go to Boys Nation and go to Washington, D.C., meet the president, meet Supreme Court justices, and meet men and fellow Boys Nationers and Girls Nationers from around the country, friends from here and from D.C. that I still have to this day, personally and professionally. And if I had quit, if I had said this is not the path that I wanted to go, I would not be here speaking to you today. I would not have had that Boys Nation experience. I would not have had that network formed that propelled me to what I wanted in my academic and professional life. And it reminds me of my favorite quote, which I heard when I was here all those years ago. There is no security on this earth. There is only opportunity. General Douglas MacArthur. You're going to get hit in the face. Your plan is going to get demolished over and over again, whether it's here in Boise State, we like to say, a week that lasts a lifetime. It lasts a lifetime if you want to make it that. You think you're going to go to whatever school and you don't get accepted, you think it's all over. You think you're going to be going pro in baseball and you only get D2. What are you going to do? On and on and on. College doesn't work out. The course selection doesn't work out. You keep going and going and going, but you don't have that security in life. You have the opportunities presented to yourself. What do you pivot wearing that orange vest to? What do you pivot not getting into MIT but going into the state school? What do you pivot landing the 5th job on your opportunity versus the 1st? What do you pivot the career-ending ACL injury that you can't make it to the college or the professional athletic pursuit that you thought? How do you pivot? How do you take the opportunity? How do you take the network that you've grown? You have to accept at some point things are going to fall apart or seemingly fall apart. But it only falls apart if you let it. If you don't take the orange vest moment and turn it into the podium moment. That's fully with you. It's not with any of these guys, not with me, not with mom or dad, not blaming somebody else on social media. It's on you. So if you learn one thing from this week, I want it to be, how do you take your orange vest moment and turn it into your podium moment? Whatever that is in life. You understand that? Does that make sense? Yes, sir. Never, ever, ever give up. Keep pivoting till you reach whatever podium moment you want. And there's going to be setbacks every step of the way. It only matters if you don't use it as the pivot to something even better. And there's a good question that was asked earlier about networking. You never are done networking. You're never done building. And if you never network today, until today, it starts here. There are guys that I've been at their weddings. I know their families that I met here. that I end up meeting. Then we stayed in touch in college and gone on. Boys Nation, people I've done, business and political relationships with. They've been my donors, and they keep growing and growing and growing. You never know what it's going to turn into. Every opportunity is a chance for the person who helps get you into the college, person that you end up working with, the person that ends up being in your wedding, whatever it might be. It may seem long, but it's this event, it's next week, it's the following week, and you can turn an instant second connection. That could be the person that changes everything for you. You don't realize it right now. So, I don't know, are they allowed to have their cell phones these days or not? The rules change. So, I'm on social media at Colin Schmitt, ColinSchmitt. Follow me on whatever you're on. Reach out. Let me be part of your network, whatever it may be. Even if you don't know what your thing is, and you say, hey, you've done all these elected things, whatever, military, what do you think I should do? Happy to do it. Sometimes these guidance counselors have no idea what they're talking about. Trust me. So reach out to people. Embrace it. It's what you turn it into. It's what you pivot it to. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Some questions? I think we could take some questions if anybody has some questions.
5 questions.
5 questions up at the that mic there? Yeah. So I'm going to break the rules a little. I want to know where you're from in real life. So introduce yourself and where you're from, not here, but in real life. Town and county, okay? Real life.
My name is Adam Brisby, and I'm from Olean, New York. My number is 0043.
Olean?
Olean.
You know Kathy Young?
I do not.
We'll connect you. Okay, keep going.
Well, I kind of had like a two-parted question. Do you plan to pivot and continue your career into politics and take it further?
Okay, is that the first part?
Yes.
What's the second part?
The second part is, hold on, kind of blanking. But after September 11th, 2001, the Patriot Act was passed under the precedent that habeas corpus could be suspended, and the Patriot Act has never been revised, and it still violates our right to privacy, but it's never challenged and never brought up. What would you do to change and protect our rights further than anybody else?
Well, that's quite a different two-part question, so thank you for both parts. So first is future. I like to say that I'm retired from elected office. It requires 24/7, 365 dedication. You have to miss your family events, your friends' events to be out in the community, and it's great. But when I was a little younger, before I had my 2 daughters, I was married, it was a great deal. Now to be in an appointed role where I don't have to knock doors or do major events every single day, even the holidays, it's a little bit better pace having a almost 6-month-old daughter and having a 2-year-old daughter, so I could spend more time dedicated to them at the moment. And but it was a great experience, but I have no plans to rush back into that. 2001, which I believe is probably a historical event for everybody here, right? So it's quite a different perspective that I would have being in 6th grade when that issue happened. My father, John's here with me today, retired FDNY lieutenant, 9/11 first responder. He's only missed a few of I was here 19 years ago, and I've been up 18 to 19 years, only missed the year I was in basic training. And he's been up for many of the years, but thanks for coming up, Dad, and for supporting the program. But yeah, I think it's a generational perspective, the concerns over the Patriot Act. And I did run for Congress and fell a little short. So what I'll say is I don't have to answer any more of those questions. So my opinion is you should contact your federal representative, and I'm not going to necessarily talk about changes to that based on my security clearance right now, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Luke Brogy from Shiberlin County, Orange County in real life.
Where in Orange County?
Washingtonville.
Love Washingtonville.
Yeah. My question is, are there any skills or things you learned or skills you developed at Boise State that helped you in political office or now as you look to further opportunities?
Sure. Boise State and Boise Nation were, I really bought into it's a week that lasts a lifetime. While it is a mock setting, it is one that has a lot of real parallels. And it's really about integrating with your cohort and how you deal with the public. So your fellow Boise Staters are your public, but they're also your colleagues at the same time. And it can be kind of complex. How do you build those relationships? You like some guys, you don't like, that's real life, right? And so I just think that experience of thinking that I was going to be everybody's friend, but I ended up as the orange vest, I took that mentally as like a rejection, but it was, no, we actually want you, we trust your skills to do this, and I grew from there. So I think it was more how I was able to interpret kind of that relationship with my peers. And that's what, and I think the networking piece that I mentioned earlier is critically important. How do you stay in touch with, it's not a friend you're going to see every day in third period or at lunch or on the bus. These are people that maybe you're in Orange County and the last guy was all the way almost in Pennsylvania, very far away. How do you stay in touch with folks like that, but maybe you end up at the same college or in the same area 8 years from now? Are you still able to turn that into something?
Thank you.
My name is Trevor Fitzgerald, and I'm from Suffolk County. Here, I'm number 681. In your introduction, they had mentioned that you were involved in local government, and as someone who thinks that that's very impactful on all of our lives, how do you think people our age could get more involved?
Sure. So local government is the government closest to each and every one of us. In New York, extraordinary power and authority on your day-to-day way of life. So I was ranking member of the local governments committee, so oversaw all local governments outside of, there is a cities committee, the major cities, but we even had some oversight over New York City related issues. So any local government from the city of New York down to the local village with 5 people was in our purview, and now before I was elected and after I left, I've been in local government positions, showing up to the meeting. Local governments need good people to step up. Even at your age, there's opportunities to get hired, opportunities to intern, even paid internships, particularly in bigger counties, Suffolk, Nassau, Lower Hudson Valley, but anywhere. If you show up and you're interested, and this is for political campaigns too, you're not going to get turned away. And I've seen a lot of young folks come up to me and say, oh, I can't get a job. I want to work in government. I want to work on the campaign. I want to work for a congressman, a state senator, whatever. But if you don't show up, it's one thing to put some comments on social media, but the young folks who show up, I usually ended up hiring. I still do in local government. You show up, hey, I want to volunteer. You're actually doing the work. You end up getting hired even as a paid intern, a young paid staffer. So show up to your local government events, show up, show interest, go to the supervisor, the mayor, the county executive, reach out. I'm a Boise Stater. I want to understand government. Can I get credit? Can I show up? Can I cut the newspaper? I don't care. If you really do that, I've never seen an opportunity as an elected official or an appointed official where that hasn't led into a full-page opportunity. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. I'm Sean Santarin from Garden City, New York. I was just interested in what you did in the Army and what made you choose the Army over any other branch.
So I'm still in the New York Army National Guard. I am a assistant operations NCO at Troop Command Headquarters right now at Camp Smith in northern Westchester. So I'll be in 12 years. I'm in my 12th year now, and I met Joe Griffo 19 years ago today here, and after college ended up working in the state Senate as a staffer for the chairman and the committee of the Homeland Security, Military Affairs, and Veterans Affairs Committee. And I was the youngest director of operations at the time in the state working on these issues. And so I had a personal connection helping oversee the Army National Guard and the Air National Guard, but the New York Army National Guard. And that sparked my interest to go a little later at 25 years old. And I signed up to, basically because of my civilian role, I thought, you know what, I should also serve on the military side. I'd always wanted to do it. So that's really how I it kind of selected me because of what I was doing on the civilian side. But for you, if it's something you're looking to do full-time or part-time or whatever it might be, I would look at everything. What is your personal interests? What would you be interested on a civilian career? Maybe you don't know. But then I'd look at where would you want to be stationed. If you're active duty, do you want to be out on sea in the Coast Guard or the Navy? Do you like where Air Force is stationed? Is Space Force something more of your style? Do you like to do 300 pull-ups with the Marines? Whatever you might want to do, kind of what is your personal interest, and find the branch that fits you best.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, sir. I am Jamark Baxter. I'm from Dutchess County. And before my question, I would just like to say your advice of turning events that could be seen as failure into successful opportunities.
You're very hard to hear. Can you?
My name is Jamark Baxter. I am from Dutchess County. And before my question, I would just like to say your advice of turning events into successful opportunities really inspired me. So I would just like to say thank you for giving such advice, first of all.
Thank you.
And my question is,
That's good. We'll give you time. You're coming up with the best one you've ever had right here.
I'll think about it the entire time. And my question is, how did you apply your advice in real life outside of Boys State and Boys Nation? How did you apply it, and what did you learn more from it?
Sure. That's a great question to close on. Thank you for your question and comments. So, I was a state assemblyman, my second term, and they decided to do redistricting. Some of you probably know, if not all, you redistricting every 10 years. It was a nightmare scenario in New York in 2022 because they changed it 3 different times. They kept changing the districts on me. I decided to run for Congress. And we ran. Our opponents kept changing. Ended up spending $7 or $8 million. My race, if you add all the races in New York combined, every other race but mine, all of the spending combined for everyone else was less than they spent against me. That's a big number, right? Tens of millions of dollars. Every language, every medium, all over was just negative advertising against me. 30+ million to 7 or 8 million. We ended up falling short, the closest race in the country to going the other way after almost 2 years of campaigning. Wow, that sucks, huh? That's not fun. And it's funny, after the day before you win, you got generals calling you, you got governors calling you, the day before they think you're going to win. The people who call my cell phone 3 days before Election Day, it's unbelievable. Wow, they're calling me out. This is a pretty good sign. After 2 o'clock in the morning, when they goes the other way, guess who's calling you the next day? No, just your wife, your family sitting there. All those fancy people, all of a sudden, don't have your cell phone number saved anymore. And when you realize that, what are you going to do? Oh, man, I'm not sure what I was going to do. Say, well, we'll figure it out. Just got to get up every morning, finish out the job you had, which ended on midnight, December 31st from November, and keep going. And I turned to my wife and I said, well, we've been doing this, but I also have the Army GI Bill. I never thought I'd use it. And who had time for that, campaigning, working, whatever. And she's like, oh, yeah, what would you do? I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. Sometimes you just don't know. But so I know I have an opportunity. I have all this great government experience, private sector experience, military experience. But I always wanted to get an advanced degree. I had the GI Bill to pay for something. So ended up getting into a joint degree program as a full-time working adult to go back in my 30s to get a law degree and a master's from Pace and Yale. And most of the classmates of mine are 21, 22, right out of college. I'm 36 with a family. But I would work all day, go to class at night, work all day, go to class at night, thanks to the U.S. government GI Bill for paying for it. And I'll be finishing that in December and use the opportunity, all the free time that I found from not having the campaign, to work, keep making a living, but now add successive professional degrees and set up the next, the next opportunities in law and policy and help go beyond what I've done, because I put myself through college. I had to pay my own way through undergrad and student loans, and so coming out right after, I couldn't afford to get a master's. I had to go right to work first day. I couldn't do those extra things. So I built up in life and got to the point where those things I thought I wanted to do at 21, 22, I can still achieve and see what the next chapter equals out to. So where I had a setback, I'm now walking away with effectively a free law degree, a master's degree, from an Ivy League institution. So not so bad.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, everybody. I'll be around if you want to talk afterwards. Have a great rest of your week.
A little bit? Yeah. The American Legion, Boys State of New York, in grateful appreciation for your participation in the American Legion New York Boys State program. Presented to Colin Schmidt, former New York State's Assemblyman, 2007, this has to be corrected, New York Boys State, in appreciation from the New York State class of 2026. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Don't go away. And again, in grateful appreciation, the token T-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Get another round of applause for him. We're going to have a little music at this time. If you want to stretch in your seats, please do. Maestro. All right, gentlemen. At this time, I call upon our Executive Director, Dave Carriddle, for the purpose of the Nicholas Solis tribute. Please give your attention to the Executive Director.
Good morning. Tribute to an icon. In the summer of 1938, the American Legion Department of New York introduced a pilot Boy State program at the New York State Fairgrounds in Syracuse. It was well received, and the full program launched in 1939 and was attended by a young Nicholas F. Solis. Thus began the lifelong commitment between Nick Solis and the American Legion Boys State of New York. Nick's solid presence at Boys State was unwavering and constant, except for the time he served in the military during World War II as a volunteer in the Army Air Corps, where he served as a navigator bombardier, completing 34 missions and earning the Air Medal with 4 oak leaf clusters and a presidential citation. He was also absent during his pursuit of a college education. He obtained a bachelor's degree in Spanish language, civilization, and literature from St. John's University in Queens, and completed higher studies at the University of Havana, Cuba, and Niagara University, where he received his master's degree in Latin American history. Solis credited his military service and the GI Bill for his ability to pursue a higher education and ultimately earn a doctorate. Dr. Solis taught Latin American language and culture at St. John's University for several years and was awarded the status of Professor Emeritus. To honor his 54 years of dedication to the American Legion Boys State of New York, he was given the status of Executive Director Emeritus in 1986. Dr. Solis was the Walter Cronkite of Boys State, Boys State's morning program, where he gave all present a daily update of current events with his views of same. Of course, given in his inevitable way with humorous side comments on the news and people in the news. Nicholas F. Solis was a great orator. His litany of the flag was a gem which brought tears to the hardiest of hearts and the bravest of brave. Doc was not only a legend in his own time, but also an icon of the American Legion Boys State of New York program and everything it stands for. He even had Boys State as his automobile license plate. He lived for the program, and it was at the June 2006 program that he was stricken and God took him from us. God bless Dr. Nicholas F. Solis, Executive Director Emeritus, Mr. Boys State. The program will never be the same without his wit and words of wisdom. With that, there should be the video of Litany of the Flag.
Betsy Ross stretched the flag across her lap as she sewed on the stars of the 13 colonies. General Washington carried it in his boat as he crossed the Delaware. The colors waved majestically in dawn's early light as the smoke of the cannons cleared over Fort McHenry. Valiant Union soldiers unfurled the nation's colors in battle with their rebel kin. It flew over President Abraham Lincoln as he read the Gettysburg Address. General Custer's lead horsemen carried it in the Battle of Little Bighorn. Teddy Roosevelt charged up San Juan Hill with our glorious colors. Admiral Dewey sailed the American flag into Manila's harbor. It waved from the observation car of General Pershing's troop train of soldiers that chased Pancho Villa across the Rio Grande on the Mexican border. It flew from the troop ships as the doughboys and GIs climbed the gangplanks, accompanied by the strains of Over There and Yankee Doodle Dandy. The flag today flies over the graves of our martyred soldiers, buried in the poppy fields of Flanders. It flew over the dunes of the Sahara as American soldiers breathed sand through their nostrils. Old Glory was painted on the gliders that carried the screaming eagles to their parachute jump over Nijmegen and Arnhem in Nazi-controlled Holland. Valiant American infantrymen scaled the rocky cliffs of the monastery walls of Monte Cassino with the American flag in hand. The flag was clearly evident on each of the landing barges that hit the Normandy beaches. The red of our colors matched the red blood of the snow of Bastogne in the Battle of the Bulge. And in spite of overwhelming odds, it was never surrendered to the enemy. The American flag replaced the swastika over Eagle's Nest by order of General Eisenhower. It was painted on the fuselage of Flying Fortresses, Liberators, Lightnings, Mustangs, Marauders, C-46s, C-47s that flew over the China, Burma, and India theater. The flag was emblazoned on the sides of General Patton's tanks and jeeps that crushed the Siegfried Line. Battle wagons and destroyers and PT boats flew it over the ocean's waves. Our glorious colors were raised on Mount Suribachi in Iwo Jima. General MacArthur called the flag back to the Philippines. As the smoke of battle cleared, the flag could be seen flying from the highest coconut palms of the small atolls of faraway islands. Seabees planted the flag on the earth movers that built airstrips and erected flagpoles to fly the flag of freedom. It was painted on the bombs of the B-29 superfortresses that were carried to the empire of the rising sun. The flag was present on the deck of the USS Missouri in Tokyo Harbor as General MacArthur accepted Japanese surrender. America's colors waved proudly over Pork Chop Hill, Incheon, Panmunjom, and still does. It flew over the rice paddies of Vietnam and the steaming jungles of Laos and Cambodia. The American flag was greeted by the residents of Lebanon, Grenada, and Panama. Our nation's colors flew over the American naval vessels in the Persian Gulf and the sands of Iraq in Desert Storm. In Operation Iraqi Freedom, our flag of victory flies over the castles of Saddam Hussein in Baghdad. Old Glory flies over Sacred Ground Zero in silent tribute to the innocent lives lost in the destruction of the Twin Towers by international terrorists. The American flag has always welcomed the waves of immigrants that sailed past the Statue of Liberty to Ellis Island. The flag gracefully adorns the tomb of the unknown soldier in Arlington. It flies in every national veteran cemetery, and veterans place it on the graves of their fallen buddies. The flag reminds us of the sacrifices of our valiant youth in the theaters of war. Our colors fly every day of the year over the Capitol, the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, Grant's Tomb, and all public buildings and post offices. It waves over the Korean Memorial and the names on the Vietnam Wall in our nation's capital. The American flag was painted on the side of all rockets sent into space. It was very visible on the side of the Challenger and the spacecraft Columbia, whose crew of brave American astronauts gave their lives in the exploration of outer space. The flag flies over all public schools, and children carry it in parades with color guards. The flag flies over the capitals, governor's executive mansions, American foreign embassies through the world. Families proudly display the American flag in the front of their domiciles. The flag adorns the casket of our deceased veterans, and the widows accept it after the veteran receives his last salute. And when the flag is tattered and torn, our national icon, the symbol of freedom, the American way of life, it should be burned and converted into ashes. Consecration, not desecration. Lord, Lord, protect the American people. Protect the red, the white, and the blue.
Gentlemen, myself, along with a handful of other counselors throughout this room today, had the honor and the privilege to serve with that man as a Boys State counselor. On that evening, he was so much of a Boys State lover, he bought a brand new vehicle, brought it down to Boys State. His license plate said Boys State. Had the temporary stakers on the window because it's in the process of being registered properly. Around dinner time, the vehicle with him in it but not driving pulls up, said we need the doctor. We had a doctor on the campus at the time. They went into the headquarters. Next thing you know, the doc comes out and says the ambulance will be pulling up shortly. Took him to Hamilton Hospital. We had a couple of pretty old counselors at the time. They were close friends of him. I was with the Boys State Police program at the time, and I had the opportunity to bring these counselors to the hospital. We saw him in the emergency room. They let us go into where he was. And the last words that he said, tell the boys, I love them, and I'll see them in the morning. He died the next morning at 11 a.m. Thank you.
And for a sports update, I'd like to bring up Joe Geiser, please.
Good morning, gentlemen. To go along with the story that you told about the flag, 53 years ago, July 3rd, I was a police officer in Hamilton PD. State police called in for assistance for an accident in DeRuyter that took 6 lives from the age of 13 to 17. My wife was the head nurse at the Hamilton Hospital. That was the morgue. you boys at Boys State came up with an idea at your legislation, and you got through your legislation, it went to our New York State legislation. Click it or ticket came from Boys State. If those 6 children had been buckled in that seat or in the car, they probably wouldn't have died. So it's very serious what you people do here. This is your week. We're here to help you. Sports, basketball is at 4 and 4:30. Pickleball, the ones that got a bye yesterday, show up. We'll play that schedule, but anybody that wants to play pickleball in a pair, come down and we'll get you in. Pickleball seems to be a good sport for you. As far as the Thursday, the cross country, that depends on the heat. Right now, Thursday at 10:30, where the bus was, dropped you off, that's the starting point. That's also the finish point if we have it. It's going to be hot. I told you when you came in, those bottles, water bottles, are like your girlfriend. You keep them with you, you keep them full. Okay? Thank you very much.
Okay, I just have one more quick announcement. Gentlemen, like I say, you're doing wonderful. I like the spirit. This is going well. One quick thing, just keep in mind, don't get crazy on us, all right? Sometimes I don't want to hear any raiding parties or stuff like that. Be cognizant of your fellow citizen. Treat them with respect. Thank you. For further announcements, I'd like to bring up Dean Eric and Brian Bogan.
Just a quick thing. The lobbyists after this assembly meet with me on the stage here for about 10 to 15 minutes, and we'll get your stuff squared away.
And as far as the Nationalist Party goes, I've talked with the liaison between the American Legion and the Morrisville College, and they're working on the air conditioning for the
County of Pedro, retrieve the colors. Present, hump. Two. Thank you, gentlemen. Doing a great job. Keep it up.
As always,
I just want to get my lobbyists out of your way. Yeah. Okay, lobbyists, come see me in that side room, okay? Lobbyists, the side room. Mayors up here for their picture. Got it? Mayors up here with your picture. Lobbyists in the right room.